Our movie begins in the mountains where a spook, a monster hunter named Gregory, seals the entrance to a deep pit. A pained voice cries out from the bottom of the pit and begs him to release her. Gregory tries ignoring the voice as he uses a mixture of iron and salt to surround the seal, making it even harder to escape. After this, Gregory gets on his horse and rides away as the prisoner screams in pain. Decades pass as seasons change, and the blood moon, a rare and frightening event, arrives. The prisoner, who is a powerful witch named Mother Malkin, opens her eyes as the blood moon gives her energy. She bursts out of the pit as a monstrous dragon and flies away. In a distant town, an older Gregory sits in a pub and drinks while the town's bells ring, a sign that there is trouble. His apprentice, William Bradley, tells him about a young girl who is possessed in a church nearby. Gregory isn't interested in what he says, and a knight tries to make him get up and work. He puts his hands on Gregory, an act which he quickly regrets as Gregory easily pushes him away. A brief fight follows, and Gregory defeats the knight with ease. He heads to the church with William, and they get their equipment ready outside before stepping in. Inside the church, the possessed child's parents beg Gregory to save their daughter. Gregory moves toward the girl, and as she speaks, he realizes that she's possessed by Malkin. He forces Malkin out of the girl's body using a special necklace, and the girl runs out of the building with her parents. Malkin returns to her physical form, leaving Gregory shocked that she has indeed escaped. She walks around him while staring into his soul and also sees William, who almost falls for her gaze. Gregory snaps William out of it, and as Malkin speaks, they activate the traps they set in the building. William uses a silver net to hold Malkin, but gets dragged out of the building. Outside, Gregory assists William, and they put Malkin in a cage. While trying to seal the cage, Malkin uses her tail to drag William inside, trapping them together. She frees herself from the silver net and begins strangling him. Unable to convince Malkin to free William, Gregory tries threatening her with fire, a common weakness for witches, but she kills him instead. Devastated by his apprentice's death, Gregory sets the cage on fire in an attempt to kill her. He walks toward his carriage, upset that he must find another apprentice after 10 years. Malkin suddenly bursts out of the cage after transforming into a dragon, proving that she's stronger than before. She flies away while Gregory yells at her, swearing that he will find her and kill her. Meanwhile, a young man named Tom Ward runs through a forest while trying to hunt. He sets his sights on his prey and tries using a dagger to strike it. His aim is slightly off, and the dagger strikes a tree while the animal runs away. Kate, Tom's sister, calls to him and reminds him that he's supposed to be tending to the pigs. Back at their house, Tom complains that he doesn't want to spend the rest of his life on a farm. He believes that there's more to his life, and his hand suddenly begins shaking. Kate rushes to get Mam while Tom has a vision where he sees Gregory and an unknown woman. Mam gets to the farm and calms Tom down while asking him to round up the escaped pigs. Not long after, Gregory arrives on their shores by boat and Mam sees him. She hides the medallion that she's wearing and welcomes Gregory. They enter the house where Gregory eats and compliments Mam on her cooking. He quickly states his reason for coming and mentions that one of their children is the seventh son of a seventh son. This means that their father, Malcolm, is also a seventh son. Gregory looks around and asks who the seventh son of the seventh son is, and Tom stands up. Malcolm mentions that Tom is a strong man who helps around the house. This interests Gregory, who throws a pouch full of coins on the table. The money is payment as he intends to take Tom as his new apprentice. This worries Mam, who fears the dangers of working as a spook's apprentice, but Tom reminds her of his visions and how he must follow Gregory. She reluctantly agrees and hands him her medallion, saying that he should keep it safe while traveling and never take it off. Tom and Gregory get on the boat and Tom rows it as they set out on a new journey. Meanwhile, Malkin returns to her mountain fortress where she sees her sister Boney Lizzie. Lizzie is very ill from her last encounter with Gregory, and her fortress is in bad shape. Seeing this, Malkin heals her sister and restores the fortress to its original glorious state. Gregory and Tom arrive at a town, and Gregory sends his new apprentice on an errand while heading to a tavern for a drink. While walking through the market, Tom sees a crowd holding back a young woman accused of being a witch and leading her away. He recognizes the woman and realizes she's the same one from his vision. Tom decides to save her and steps in, telling everyone that he's the great Gregory's apprentice. He insists that he will handle the situation and takes the woman, named Alice, away and into an alley. Alice wonders why Tom saved her and thanks him. They have a strange chemistry between them, but Alice suddenly asks Tom to close his eyes. He reluctantly agrees, and as he opens his eyes, Alice is nowhere to be found. Tom is shocked by her disappearance, but continues his errands. Shortly after disappearing, Alice returns to the mountain fortress and sees that it's no longer worn down and damaged. She also sees that her mother, Boney, is no longer ill. She walks toward her mother, but is surprised when Malkin appears behind her. Malkin wonders if Alice will be as loyal as her mother, and walks to the balcony where she stares at the forming blood moon that's amplifying her power. She asks that her siblings return, as it's almost time for them to take over the world. That night, Gregory travels on a horse while Tom walks behind him. The duo travels through a strange forest, and Tom asks Gregory about his previous apprentices. Gregory ignores the question and explains that spooks, such as himself, tame dark creatures and kill them when necessary. He emphasizes witches and says they're the most dangerous dark creatures. Gregory also tells Tom that William, his last apprentice, died at the hands of Malkin, who most people consider to be the Witch Queen. Tom doesn't believe that Malkin is real, and Gregory makes him understand that life and truth as he knows it is no longer what he thinks. Their mission is to invade her mountain fortress and defeat her before she becomes too powerful. Tom suddenly begins shaking as he has another vision and eventually passes out. The following morning, Tom wakes up on a boat and Gregory, who is shaving, tells him that he passed out. He asks Tom what happened, and Tom tells him that he sees visions of the future that cause him to shake and sometimes pass out. Gregory finds this ability interesting, but realizes that Tom doesn't know if he can alter future events after seeing the visions. Tom then sees Tusk, Gregory's assistant, and is amazed by the strange creature that's controlling the boat. They arrive in a strange and fascinating building that Gregory calls home. Tom walks around the building and finds a tapestry of the Falcons. This order fought creatures of the dark and passed their skills and knowledge to other seventh sons of the seventh sons. The tapestry also shows that there are 1,000 knights of the Falcon Order. Gregory tells Tom that he's the only surviving member, as the others are either dead or have joined the dark side. Tom asks how long his apprenticeship is going to last, and Gregory says it'll last for a week because that's when the full blood moon occurs. He refuses to answer any more questions and instructs Tom not to leave his room that night. Tom is asleep in his room later that night and hears a strange noise. He picks up his sword and immediately goes against Gregory's instructions by leaving his room. He walks through the building and reaches a strange room where he finds a knight's armor. Tom sees that everything is all right after inspecting the armor, but is proven wrong as the armor comes to life. It begins attacking him and quickly overpowers him. To Tom's luck, Gregory emerges and defeats the undead armor. He yells at Tom for disobeying his instructions, and as he returns to his room, Tom throws his sword at Gregory's head. He narrowly misses because his aim still isn't perfect. This impresses Gregory, who suddenly decides to teach Tom all he needs to know about going against Malkin. He tells Tom about Malkin's lieutenant and mentions Radu, who has an army of assassins. Sarakin is another lieutenant who transforms into a leopard instead of a dragon, and Virahadra is considered to be the king of swords for his incredible sword control. Tom also learns about the items that can help in defeating dark creatures, with silver being one that repels witches. At the same time, he practices his aim using a dagger, and a skull serves as his target. Gregory tells Tom that Malkin is the strongest witch, which makes her their queen. Tom admits that he has seen her in his visions, and they'll need a lot more power to be able to defeat her. Gregory leans forward and says he'll handle Malkin himself when the time comes. At the mountain fortress, Radu arrives with some of his finest assassins and offers them as a gift. Malkin assesses the assassins and notices that someone is staring at her. She realizes that it's one of the assassins and instructs him to never look at her. She then uses her tail to stab the assassin and kills him instantly. Alice and Boney walk into the fortress, and Alice isn't comfortable with Malkin being their queen. She tells Boney her fears, but Boney reminds her that Malkin is her sister. She assures Alice that she'll never let Malkin harm her and asks that she continue her mission of spying on Tom and Gregory. Gregory suddenly wakes up that night, and Tusk makes some noises while he is asleep. He hears someone swimming in the pond nearby and goes to check what's happening. He sees Alice in the pond and asks what she's doing. Alice asks him to turn around, and she is fully clothed as she steps out of the water. Tom tries assisting her out of the water, but a blue light suddenly flashes as they make contact. Alice explains that the light often signifies when a witch makes contact with the man she's meant to be with. This confirms Tom's suspicion as he realizes that Alice is a witch. Alice explains that she's a half-witch, as her mother is a witch and her father is a gypsy. She also says that not all witches are evil and asks Tom why he wants to be like Gregory. Tom says that he can't avoid his destiny, and Alice disappears. The following morning, Gregory questions Tom on his studies, and they suddenly hear bells ringing from the nearest town. Gregory understands that the bells mean that he's being summoned, and several soldiers arrive at their location. Their leader informs Gregory that the Inquisitor has invited him to the walled city to help defeat a dark creature. Gregory and Tom make their way to the city while being escorted by the soldiers. They meet the Inquisitor, who offers Gregory gold for his services. The soldiers lead Gregory and Tom to a secure room where they have captured a werebear. Upon entering the room, Gregory realizes who they're dealing with and announces that the werebear is Urag, one of Malkin's lieutenants and the most bloodthirsty amongst her ranks. The soldiers leave Gregory and Tom alone in the room with the beast, and Gregory decides to fight it alone. Urag breaks out of his cage and approaches Gregory, who uses powdered silver to weaken him. This causes Urag to return to his human form, and a fight ensues. Urag proves to be a difficult opponent for Gregory and begins to overpower him. Tom decides to help and goes against Gregory's wishes. He throws a dagger at Urag, but it doesn't affect him. This causes Urag to begin attacking both men, and they begin working together while fighting. The battle goes on, and the duo struggles to handle Urag even with their teamwork. Urag tries to transform into a bear, but Gregory uses a chain to restrain him while Tom uses powdered silver to weaken him. This stops Urag from transforming, and the duo eventually overpower and restrain him. The soldiers release oil into the arena, and Gregory hands Tom a torch while instructing him to set Urag ablaze. Tom stares at Urag, who is helpless, and chooses not to kill him. Gregory doesn't share this sympathy, and he takes the torch from Tom. He doesn't hesitate to throw it at the oil, which causes Urag to burn to death. They step out of the room, and Gregory yells at Tom, saying he's useless if he doesn't want to kill witches. Tom storms off after hearing this, and Alice overhears their argument. At the mountain fortress, Sarikon arrives but is surrounded by multiple assassins. Radu instructs them to stand down, and Sarikon transforms to her human form. Strix and Virahadra also arrive, and Malkin welcomes them. She realizes that one of her lieutenants is missing, but she has no idea that Urag is dead. Back in the walled city, Alice approaches Tom, who is sitting on his own. He believes he can't be as ruthless as Gregory, and Alice says it's a good thing. They take a walk while talking, and Alice tells Tom that Gregory was in love with a witch when he was much younger. Tom finds this hard to believe, but Alice reminds him that everyone has secrets. They soon realize the feelings they have for each other as they walk and decide to lie down while conversing. Tom suggests that they run away together, as it's their best option, but Alice is hesitant. He suddenly has another vision, where he sees Gregory being overpowered by Malkin, and the world entering an era of darkness. He realizes that he must return to his master to prevent the incoming. The following morning, Tom goes into the forest where he sees Gregory sitting. Gregory decides to come clean and tells Tom how Malkin wasn't always evil. He admits that he and Malkin were in love, but she became evil. Her action forced Gregory to leave her and get married to someone else. Hurt by their splitting up, Malkin took revenge on Gregory by killing his wife. This forced him to go after her, but he showed mercy by imprisoning her instead of ending her life. Gregory advises Tom not to make the same mistake that he did and instructs him to kill a witch the moment he sees one. They continue their journey, and Tom realizes that Gregory is right in wanting to kill all the witches. The duo reunites with Tusk, but suddenly gets attacked by a giant dark creature called a boggart. Gregory says that the enormous creature can't easily be defeated, and they try to escape as it destroys their cart. The creature pursues them and hits Tusk, while Tom and Gregory pass through a hole in the wall. The hole leads to a cliff, and Gregory mentions that boggarts have poor eyesight but an incredible sense of smell. They realize that they'll have to jump into the river beneath them as the boggart continues trying to reach them. The duo successfully survives the dive, and Gregory says that boggarts don't like water. It doesn't take long for him to eat his words as the boggart jumps from the top of the cliff and enters the water. It grabs onto Tom, who struggles to fight it underwater. Tom uses his dagger to stab his hand and frees himself. He gets onto the boggart's back and stabs its head as Gregory shows that he's headed for a waterfall. Seeing that there's no way to escape, Tom braces for impact as he and the boggart fall to the bottom of the waterfall. He survives the fall and struggles to get back on the shore. The boggart, fortunately, doesn't survive, and its corpse continues moving with the river's current. Tom plants his sword in the ground. He is suddenly attacked by Boney, who reads his mind and says he shouldn't think about her daughter Alice. She tries to attack Tom with his sword, but is repelled by the medallion that he wears. Tom quickly disarms her, and Boney yells that the medallion belongs to her master before turning into a dragon and flying away. Tom reunites with Gregory, who is meditating by a fire. Gregory realizes that Tom won't die easily, and compliments him for slaying what most consider to be unkillable. Tom sits beside his master and shows him the medallion that saved his life. Gregory immediately recognizes it and says it's the Umbran Stone, a sacred witch talisman that amplifies their powers, and it belongs to Malkin. He tells Tom that the stone grants Malkin incredible power and admits that he was able to defeat her because a witch stole the stone from Malkin. Hearing this, Tom remembers that his mother gave him the medallion and realizes she's a witch. Gregory is baffled as Tom is the seventh son of a seventh son and also the son of a witch. His strange lineage explains why he has visions. Motivated, Tom asks that they continue their journey as they have a job to do. In the mountain fortress, Alice tells Malkin about Urag's death and how Gregory burned him alive. Malkin calls Gregory a cruel man and tells Alice that Tom is just like him. Alice believes that Tom is good and doesn't want him to die. Malkin then informs her that Tom possesses the Umbran Stone and promises to keep him alive if she retrieves it. Shortly after, she and her lieutenants decide to seek revenge for their fallen comrade and head to the walled city where Urag was killed. The civilians see as the witches arrive and run for their lives. Radu transforms into a dragon and wreaks havoc. He destroys buildings and eats the Inquisitor. Mom and Malcolm are in the city and try to run away as Strix pursues them. Realizing she has no other choice but to fight, Mom asks Malcolm to take their child and run while she handles Strix. She uses her abilities to impale Strix with a pitchfork and kills him by stabbing his heart. The other witches sense that someone is fighting against them. Malkin and Boney go to Mom, who tries fighting back but is quickly overpowered. Malkin recognizes Mom as the witch who betrayed her and stole the Umbran Stone. Mom believes that Malkin isn't their queen as she is consumed by darkness. Annoyed by her attitude, Malkin stabs Mom's heart and kills her. The witches continue their onslaught and lay waste to the city. Back in the woods, Gregory offers Tom a drink as they continue their journey. They meet Tusk, who survived being struck by the boggart. Tusk informs Gregory that something strange is going on, and Gregory decides to check it out. He instructs Tom to stay behind while he leaves with Tusk. Tom sits down, and Alice appears shortly after. She asks Tom if he loves her and says they should run away together. Tom can't leave with her as he has a mission to complete. Gregory and Tusk suddenly return, and Gregory uses a silver chain to trap Alice. The chain ties her to a tree, and Gregory instructs Tom to gather wood for a fire. Tom refuses, stating that Alice isn't their enemy. He releases her from the restraints and asks that she run away. Gregory is angry with his decision and makes Tom realize that Alice got close to him to steal the Umbran Stone. Seeing that he has been played, Tom rushes after Alice in a bid to retrieve the stone. Radu and his assassins suddenly appear and ambush him. He fights off some of the assassins and continues searching for Alice. Gregory enters the woods with Tusk and sees the assassins attacking Tom. He realizes that he can't lose another apprentice and joins in the fight. The trio, unfortunately, finds themselves at the edge of a cliff with nowhere else to run. The assassins knock Tusk off the cliff using a wooden battering ram. Gregory throws some assassins off, but they hold themselves using ropes. One assassin grabs Tom's leg and drags him off the edge. Fortunately, his fall is cushioned by some trees, but he gets knocked out. Radu uses a net to capture Gregory, stating that his orders are to bring him in alive. They ride away, thinking that Tom and Tusk are dead. Not long after, Tom wakes up and sees Mam's spirit. She informs him of her death but encourages him, saying only he can wield the Umbran Stone's power and defeat Malkin. Hearing this, Tom picks up Gregory's staff and saves Tusk, who is hanging off a ledge. Gregory is held as a prisoner in the mountain fortress and Radu drags him out of his cage. The assassins lead him to Malkin and Alice asks about Tom's whereabouts. Radu informs her that he's dead and Boney says it was their best option. Angered by this, Alice pushes her mother away and leaves. Malkin stands above Gregory as the red moon rises and amplifies her powers. She asks him to join her and uses the Umbran Stone to make her illusion stronger. Gregory sees her illusion and believes that she's beautiful. He almost joins Malkin, but Alice interrupts by snatching the stone from Malkin's neck. She runs away as the other witches pursue her, and Malkin uses her tail to slam Gregory into a pillar because he is no longer affected by the illusion. Boney tries to stop Malkin from killing Alice, and a fight ensues. They transform into their dragon forms while fighting, and a pillar falls, which separates Alice from the Umbran stone. While this happens, Radu sees that he has an opportunity to fight Gregory and takes it. Gregory stands up and prepares to fight while Radu transforms into a dragon. He roars at Gregory, who stands his ground and doesn't flinch. Alice hides from the assassins, and Tom suddenly grabs her. He asks where the stone is, and she says she lost it while trying to escape. Alice claims she took the stone in an attempt to protect him, but they're spotted by one of the assassins. Tom throws his dagger and strikes the assassin's head, killing him instantly. This alerts the others to their location, but Tusk emerges and begins fighting them. Tom also joins the fight and uses the staff to knock down several assassins. Meanwhile, Gregory calls out Radu for not having honor as he chooses to fight in his dragon form. Radu returns to his human form and gives Gregory a weapon, making their fight fair. Elsewhere, Tom retrieves the Umbran stone as Sarakin attacks him. With it, he combines its power with that of the staff and becomes more powerful. This allows him to easily defeat and kill Sarakin. Alice tries fighting Virahadra, but is no match for his impressive sword skills. He knocks her to the ground and prepares to finish her off, but gets killed by Tom, who uses the staff to stab his heart. Radu and Gregory continue their fight, and Radu drops a pillar on his enemy. Gregory rolls on the floor and uses his weapon to make Radu fall to the ground. He quickly seizes the opportunity and stabs Radu's heart, killing him. Malkin and Boney continue their fight in the sky, and Malkin uses her tail to stab her sister. Boney also does the same, and they both fall to the ground. They revert to their human forms, and Malkin gets the upper hand. She asks her sister why she betrayed her, and Boney mentions how her daughter is all she has left. Hearing this, Malkin is angry and stabs Boney's neck. Alice tries rushing to save her mother, but Tom stops her as he realizes she can't win. She sadly watches as her mother dies, and Tom tries to console her. Malkin, who has expended most of her energy, enters the fortress and shuts the door behind her. The trio walks towards the door, but Gregory says he will handle her alone. He walks into the building and finds Malkin, who says she was a fool for believing that Gregory loved her. Gregory comes clean and says that he loved her, but the feelings he once had are gone. He approaches Malkin and pulls out a dagger to kill her. Malkin suddenly grabs his neck and begins strangling him, causing him to drop the dagger. Luckily, Tom enters the room and throws a knife at her. The knife strikes her gut, which further weakens her. Malkin swears that she will haunt Gregory and Tom. Gregory hugs Tom, who decides not to make the same mistake that he did. He walks away as Tom uses the staff to start a fire and set Malkin ablaze. They all walk out of the building victorious, as they have saved the world from the destruction the witches would have brought. Tom and Gregory return home, and Gregory officially makes Tom a Knight of the Falcon Order. He speaks about how the order usually holds a grand ceremony while introducing a new member, but they can't do that as there are only 2 of them. Gregory heats the Falcon Order's seal and uses it to brand Tom's hand. He then uses powdered ink to make the mark visible and permanent. Shortly after, Tom prepares a horse for a journey and Alice appears. She asks if the branding hurts and if he has chosen to be a spook. Tom tells her that the branding didn't hurt and that the career chose him instead. He decides to let her go, but Alice says they will meet again as she disappears. Gregory emerges from the building and says he has to leave. Tom is shocked as Gregory hands over the staff, saying that their lair now belongs to him. He gets on the horse and asks Tom to live his life while creating new rules that'll help in his battle against dark creatures. He bids Tom farewell and rides away. Just then, the nearest town's bells go off, signifying that a spook is urgently needed. Tom was an average young man with a golden destiny. His existence as the son of a witch and the 7th son of a 7th son proved that his life was indeed special. Tom embraces his destiny as Gregory comes to recruit him into the Falcon Order. Together, they defeated the evil witch Malkin and stopped her from taking over the world. Do you think Tom is the greatest spook to exist? Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe.